games today: Northampton versus Wrexham and Sale women versus Gloucester women in the rugby. I walked back to the station as the traffic was pretty bad, and I walked past Northampton Saints rugby ground, so I took a couple of pictures. It looks a nice ground. It's still one I'm yet to do. So that's it for this trip, just £46 spent with the refunds on the trains. They were a bit of a nightmare going and coming home. Well, they weren't a nightmare going really. I just had to get an earlier train to Chester in the end. Luckily there's two within 10 minutes of each other that leave Wrexham in the morning, so I was already 10 minutes early. I had to go because the train to London was cancelled. But it restarted itself at Chester, so I just had to get the earlier train to Chester and go through. But obviously it's cancelled, so I got a refund on that. And the journey back was a bit of a nightmare, as Milton Keynes was shut due to signalling problems, so I had to go through Birmingham, which cost me about an hour, but I did have an hour in hand to get up to the ground at Sale there for the women's rugby. However, I did just about miss kick-off. The trams were a little bit slow and busy because City had been at home, and the trams coming into Piccadilly were a bit slow and full, so it took time to get on the tram and stuff at Piccadilly. So by the time I got to Sale, I was just coming off the tram as it was kicking off, and it's about a 3 or 4 minute walk to the ground. So I walked to the ground and got there, and there's just no stewards, the gates open, and there's no one around, so I just walked straight in. So I didn't pay to watch the Sale women's game, so I saved myself some money on that, and obviously I'll get all the money back for the train journey there, as I said, because the first train was cancelled, and because of the nightmare of the trains on the way back, I'll get all that money back as well. So the only money I really had to pay was between Altrincham and Chester, and obviously the tram in Manchester as well. So that was great. Obviously got the bus from Chester then. That was free because of the Welsh bus pass I've got there. So that was good. That didn't cost me as much as I was expecting. So the day was quite cheap, really. As far as listening to the games, I was able to listen to the Wrexham game on BBC Radio Northampton, and the Sale game was on YouTube. Most of those women's rugby top flight games do seem to be on YouTube, which is good. Obviously, it's the commentary again. It's with the TV pictures, so it's quite slow because it's on the digital and it's quite behind, maybe 30-40 seconds or so. But it does give you an idea of what's going on. With rugby being quite a slower sport as well, it is actually not too bad. So you get a bit more of an idea, whereas football, when it's that far behind, it is quite annoying because it's a faster paced game. But it's obviously useful to have it for both those games. Well, I'm on the subject of listening to games. Later on into next week, I will be going to Dublin to watch Shamrock Rovers again. And when I was looking at tickets, I bought a student ticket, which is what they suggested I bought as a disabled person. And I thought to myself, I should really contact them about the audio description. Saves buying the stream and doing that when I'm in the ground. And obviously that's behind like the YouTube and stuff. As I just explained, when you're watching football and you're listening to like a stream commentary, it is quite far behind. And they did mention about doing audio description, so I will actually get in touch with them in the coming days and see if I can organise the audio description and just try it out while I'm there. So I'll update you on that as we get closer to the date on that video, but that's much later next week. Regarding the eBay and the Vinted stuff that I do, I add stuff, if you don't know, I add stuff to eBay and Vinted while I'm travelling along, stuff that we've got in the house that's no longer needed, and obviously put that money then back into my trips to cheapen up the trips a bit. But I'm going through a lot of stuff at the minute where it's not a great deal of value to it, but it needs getting rid of. So at the minute it's not bringing in a lot of money to reduce the trips, but once I've reduced that stock a little bit, then I'm going to be getting rid of bigger items and better items that will compensate the trips a lot more. So it's a kind of a waiting game with that one, but I will keep you updated on how that goes as we go along. I keep putting it up whenever I'm getting money back from those two. The other thing that I have been doing in previous videos when I did my last set of videos was doing the food delivery for Uber and stuff like that. So I did do it on a bike. Now what I did find with bikes is, obviously because of my eyesight, I find I can ride a bike, that's okay, but obviously I have to be really careful, and watching directions on a phone and trying to ride and stuff all at the same time is possible, but slow for me. So I was finding that I was failing with the times that they give you to do it. Anyway, I've been trying to rethink the idea, and I've seen two guys who were doing it via public transport on YouTube videos. So watch those two YouTube videos. Now the first guy did it in Liverpool, and he was quite informative. He said how much he spent and how much he made and stuff like that. That was great, but I think he did it in the wrong city. I didn't think the public transport was really up to it. I think, to be honest with you, if you're gonna do it, the only place you could actually do it would be London, where the public transport is extensive. So there was another guy who did do it in London, and I watched that, and he was a really interesting guy. He was proper mad. He was going around asking people, telling people what he was doing, and just talking to random strangers. And obviously, people in London don't talk very much to each other at the best of times. And he's going around, oh, what do you think about this? How do you think I'm getting on with this? He's a really funny guy, really pleasant guy, and he's a bit mad going around doing it all. And every time he went to the customer, he'd tell them how he got there. No one seemed bothered that he wasn't on the bike that he'd put on Uber that he was on, so he seemed to get away with that fine, and he was beating the times most of the time to get there. Now, what he didn't do is he didn't say how much it was costing him, so I looked into it. Now, I've got a rail card, my disabled rail card, attached to my Oyster card, so it does reduce my cost, and it looks like it's about £14 a day. If you know any difference, please put it in the comments, but I think it's about £14 a day, which is the maximum you can be charged going around London in a day. So that would probably reduce to about £9, I think, with my disabled rail card. But we'll check that out. We'll actually do this. We'll try and do a day coming up later this month, I think, where we do a couple of hours worth of delivering food in London on the Uber app. And we'll do it by the public transport and see how much it costs. But I think I could definitely make money that way as well, and get away with it with not being on the bike, and it would make it much easier for me. I do know my transport systems, because that's the only way of me getting around. So that's going to be the way I'm going to do it. So I would be able to get around okay. I'm pretty confident about that. So I think it would be easy, obviously not having the bike, so I can spend more of my time concentrating on where I'm actually going. So that's something we'll go on to, and that'll be a good video in itself when I get round to doing that later on this month. See if we can top up. Well, we're still on the slim side with this eBay and vintage stuff. We'll try and top up a bit with that and see if we can get that going. The only other issue with it is obviously you've got to take a heat bag with you, which is cumbersome. I have got one which is a bit of a fold down one, so we're looking at taking that, and it's where if you're going to go to the football, what you're going to do with that heat bag, where you're going to leave it. So it depends what you're doing. Obviously, you could leave it in the hostel. If you stay in the hostel, leave it there for free. Otherwise, there are cheap places you can drop bags, so we can maybe try and use one of those as well. But anyway, we'll have a look into that as we go along. But I just thought I'd mention it because it's probably going to come up later this month that I'm going to try that. And I just wanted to tell you about the videos that I watched. So those two guys were really good. And thanks to them for fueling my idea. It was an idea that I'd had, and I looked into it, and they were great videos. So that was great to see them. So that is something we will get onto, and we will try and do to reduce our costs. Always trying to look into things to reduce the costs of the trips.